Hey folks, hope you all are doing well. I'm Karan Bandal from Econosite, and in this video, let's talk about why India's high-tech manufacturing prospects are looking promising. Let's start with a brief backstory for this discussion. Indian economy has done quite well since the reforms of 1991. The economy that was moving at a crawling pace for decades after independence started to take off after the reforms and now functions as the world's fastest growing major economy. In line with that, India's exports have also gotten better, but mainly because of the services exports. India's merchandise or goods exports have consistently underperformed. To be fair, India's goods exports did improve after the pandemic to reach an all-time high of $450 billion last year, and as a result, India's total exports crossed a record $250 billion mark. India's chronic lagging goods export, though, reveals the underperformance of the country's manufacturing sector. But looking forward, conditions seem just right for India's manufacturing sector to flourish, especially the high-tech manufacturing sector, and with that, India's goods exports as well. Here's why. Starting with semiconductors, India may see more local companies venture into the IC design sector as the country develops its local semiconductor supply chain. India-based EPC giant Larsen & Toubro is investing almost $100 million to set up a wholly owned chip design subsidiary since the company believes it has strength in design. The benefit India has is its significant domestic market and the one that is growing rapidly. So even more Indian firms can be convinced to invest money in setting up semiconductor fabs if the government does its part as well. Appropriate incentive schemes are needed to encourage large global companies in this space to alter their designs to cater to India's domestic demand and use the Indian fab. Now look at the smartphone sector. Apple seems to have perfectly timed its entry in India's smartphone manufacturing. Apple's local sales in India and iPhone manufacturing output from India are rising concurrently. In fiscal year 2023, Apple India saw a 48% jump in sales to hit almost $6 billion in revenues. Apple's market share in India as a result has jumped 6 times since 2018. At the same time, Apple's iPhone production in India is also gaining steam. Nearly 14% of iPhone units shipped in 2023 were assembled in India. And country's share in iPhone manufacturing is expected to inch up even higher to 25% by the end of 2024. What's more, India's Tata Group now owns one of the several iPhone assembly plants in the country. Apple's contract manufacturer Wistron sold its Indian facility to Tata Electronics for about $125 million. Then in smartphone component space, US-based Corning and India-based Optimus Infracom agreed to form a joint venture named Bharat Innovation Glass Technology. The JV is expected to begin operation by the end of 2024 and will initially make finished cover glass sheets in India. This JV will start with an annual capacity of 30 million pieces. Finished cover glass sheets, by the way, are specialized glass covers that are used in electronic devices such as smartphone, tablets, and others. It is the outermost layer of a display screen that protects the underlying display technology. As you can imagine, manufacturing processes involved in making these cover glass sheets are quite complex. Moving on to laptop manufacturing, Intel is now fast-tracking its own India expansion. The company is partnering with 8 prominent EMS companies and ODMs to bring laptop production to India. This is a big boost for the local manufacturing ecosystem for laptops. In this particular case, the participating local companies are going to win big as Intel's contribution will facilitate the production of complete entry-level laptops and bring state-of-the-art surface mount technology to India. In aerospace sector, Airbus provides a boost to Make in India program. This French aerospace major has signed contracts with Mahindra Aerospace and 3 others for components manufacturing. These components include airframe and wing parts for 3 different Airbus programs. The contracts will help Airbus in the ramp-up of commercial aircraft programs globally, plus it will strengthen capability and capacity in the aviation ecosystem of India across multiple technologies. This collaboration between Airbus and Indian suppliers builds on the previous allocation of several other components of A320neo to Tata Advanced Systems. Airbus claims that it already procures components and services worth $750 million from India annually, so these new contracts will only add to this quantum. Airbus, together with its supply chain, supports nearly 10,000 jobs in India and expects this number to rise to 15,000 by 2025. Looking ahead, in the defense aviation sector, Airbus also plans to assemble 40 units of C295 transport aircraft completely in India, partnering with Tata Advanced Systems. Finally, in renewables, India's solar module manufacturing capacity is expected to jump by over 60% in the next 2 years. If you look at a solar panel or PV module, it is made up of multiple solar cells, and solar cells are made from polysilicon wafers or semiconductor wafers. Manufacturing of upstream components like cells and wafers is technologically more complex, and this space is dominated by China. India, though, is making inroads into solar manufacturing with the assistance of the government's PLI schemes. India currently possesses just 37 gigawatts of PV module manufacturing capacity, which should increase to over 60 gigawatts by 2025. And looking at the projects in the future awarded through PLI schemes, PV module manufacturing capacity is likely to reach 100 gigawatts in just a few years' time. What helps solar companies invest in India is the fact that there is robust demand for large-scale solar power installations in the country. India plans to achieve 280 gigawatts of installed solar generation capacity by 2030 from a current level of 60 gigawatts. India's solar cell manufacturing capacity is also likely to see an improvement in the future. But at least in the short term, India will remain dependent on polysilicon imports from China. In summary, India's sluggish manufacturing sector may soon see a turnaround. A host of technologically advanced manufacturing capabilities are coming to India in semiconductors, smartphones, components, aviation, defense, and renewables. The expected improvement in India's manufacturing competitiveness, coupled with India's ample supply of labor, surely will help India's exports as well. I hope you found this analysis interesting. I'll speak with you again next week. Until then, take care.